From the Red Couch, where local theater artists talk about the joys and challenges of creating theater in the capital region. We hope you enjoy the discussion and consider helping our friends at the Albany Barn. Your donations can help ensure that the barn will continue to be here for creative license and the many other local artists they support. Click the link in the description to make your gift. Now, please enjoy From the Red Couch.
So Bree.
So Steve.
We have been in the theater. We've acted together since college.
Oh yes.
Taking
indeed.
it back. Actually, what I'm curious is when did you start acting and how did you get into it?
I remember when I was in before I was in high school, my brother did lights and sound for our high school drama club, and he's older than I am. Yeah. And my parents would, of course, drag me to the shows, but it never actually felt like dragging because I just loved going. And I remember watching these musicals, these high school plays and musicals and everything, and thinking, I want to do that, and I can do that. And I've always been very dramatic. I knew every single word to Beauty and the Beast. I knew every single word to The Wizard of Oz, and I would just act it out and use my entire house as my stage. And I would run into this room and say this line, and that room and say that line, and I just knew I could do it.
As a kid?
As a kid.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
No, as a 32-year-old woman, I just do that.
When you start, you start.
I miss it. So that was really kind of what got me into it. And then my very first time ever on stage was in 1998, Amsterdam Rotary Club, very first annual Rotary variety show. And then we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Except obviously this year. But and I started directing that. Last year was my first time, my directorial debut. But when I got to high school, I started doing the plays and the musicals, and then obviously in college.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. Oh. Now, what about you?
So I was 11 years old, and like you, was very dramatic, and
no.
Yeah. In New Hartford, they would send home for kids a spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet, paper. Mm-hmm. And it would say hey, do you want to do basketball over the summer? Do you want to do tennis lessons, golf? And there was a summer theater program. And my mom's I think you'd really like this. And it was in the summer. They said it's free. Mm-hmm. Parents have to pay for costumes. And I had to hold a girl's hand. And it was
Stop.
Whoa. I was 11 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you said you directed for the first time?
Ever, yeah.
What was that like?
It's interesting because it's a very, it's a different group of people than what I think we are all used to working with here in the capital region. It's a bunch of people who volunteer their time and energy who normally are not on stage.
Sure.
So, they can kind of sing. Some can really sing. So it's sort of like a talent show, right? So every year we have the variety show is a different theme.
Is it like a cabaret, putting on
a little
skits?
bit, a little bit, yeah. And there's always a theme to it, and there's just a common message that we try to thread throughout it. So last year's theme was movies. We called it Movie Magic. So it was a combination of people doing songs from movies and a combination of reenacting your favorite scenes from movies as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was fun. It was fun. There's 30, 40 people who are involved in the show itself, and we got a great group of people who are just know how to run it behind the scenes, who've been doing it longer than I have. So that was my very first time directing it. I would have directed it this year as well, but there's always next year. I remember the first time I saw you on stage.
I bet it was the Grip of October. I remember the first time I saw you on stage, I assume because stage 3, when the freshmen would come in, they would do student life plays.
Oh my God, yeah.
SLPs,
yep.
And you were in that.
I was, yes.
You were, I think, if I recall, were you in the Safe Sex Man Absence?
No, but I did a whole song about. We did a parody of Kelly Clarkson's song "Since You've Been Gone, but Since You've Been Drunk." That was our. Since You've Been Drunk. Yeah. I don't remember
was that my year though.
That was your year.
Okay.
I don't know if I did student life plays the year that you
Oh, okay. That was
But you came in.
2008.
But I remember seeing you on stage.
For Grip of
In
October?
the fall of 2008 for the Grip of October, little Clifford. Oh, you played a mentally handicapped boy named Clifford. But to be totally honest with you, I was like, wow, that kid's good. Because, you know, we were 18 at the time,
yeah.
right? Yes.
It's about the Grip of October that happened in 1918, like right after World War I.
Spanish influenza.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I remember seeing you on stage for that, and that was really fun because I mean, it wasn't a fun show because it was very dark, but I mean, it was fun to watch that and to see somebody brand new to the stage I've never seen before take on such a challenging role and not making it, you know, like the histrionics you could have done with it could have been so much more and not genuine.
Sure.
But you kept it genuine, I thought.
Thank you.
So you did a very good job. And then the next year, you and I were in Into the Woods.
Into the Woods.
That was doomed. It was a great show. We had a lot of fun, but then that second weekend.
It was the swine flu.
The swine flu. That was the year of the swine flu, and everybody, including myself, got sick that second
You
weekend.
got really sick.
I was totally lost my voice.
You lost your voice. I remember this, because we did 2 weekends.
We did, yep.
First weekend, we were fine.
Yeah, everybody was cool first weekend.
Second weekend, your voice started to go, and I remember you had to kind of like, during Last Midnight,
we
were like talking through it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we cut it. I was talking through it, and then we had to cut it.
And then the last night, they said, we're just going to do, like, we made a new script.
Basically. Probably
Steven
very.
Sondheim, don't sue us.
Yeah, I was going to say probably very illegal. Don't sue us for that. But then, our first time acting together after that was in Dorian Gray.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun because we
Yes,
got to
and
play
that was right here. We
yeah,
were
right here in this space.
right here on that stage.
On that stage, and I got to boss you around, and that was great because we played
Yep.
boyfriend, girlfriend,
And then
/
husband,
husband, wife.
And then I died.
And then you died, and it was very
And I
sad.
had old man makeup.
Yeah, yes. Your old man makeup is always good though because.
Nick, I was going to say, it was my first time doing it, and Nick Basenko, his was out of this world.
I know. I mean, he really transformed. Like you can tell.
You look at the trailer, and it shows
Yes.
Nick in that old man makeup.
Right. I mean, we could obviously we couldn't tell from this perspective how he looked on stage,
Yeah.
but just from that trailer, I remember being like, "Wow, he's look." I hope mine looked that good.
Well, we had to do it's
always like, oh, it's
you have to
too
scrunch
thick.
up your forehead and
Yeah.
like do that, and like you have to do like the lines, but like not too deep, because it can't be like, like a harsh line.
Yeah.
It has to be like.
Which I always did.
Just light, straight line, and then kind of like. Whatever.
But it was a lot of fun. You had that creepy mustache. It was great.
So that was my real mustache.
Oh.
You knew that, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, of course I knew
Yeah.
that.
Well, that was the thing, is like, it
Yeah, I
didn't
knew
call
that.
for it, and apparently I just have this weird thing where when I do shows, I'm like, I want to do this, and the director's like, all right, fine. Like, in Pool No Water with Creative License, I'm like, Aaron, I want to shave my head. And he's like, okay, just whatever.
Was there a reason for that? Or is it just something like, I'm going to do this, and I feel like my character would do this? Or is it just something
I
that
always
you
wanted a mustache
Okay.
on stage, and it took place in the 80s, where mustaches were more prevalent.
Mustaches were a thing. What was your favorite scene in Dorian Gray?
When we got to drink real beer. No. Oh, man.
You got real beer. I got ginger ale for Lonely I'm Not.
Well,
I'm
sorry.
just saying. I'm
Is it
throwing
because
that
you're an
out there.
alcoholic?
Oh, no. That's not why.
I think I just had a lot of fun with that character. It was like my first time doing a British accent, but because he's so sassy, and I feel bad for Nick because I always seem, every time I'm in a show with him, except for From My Planes, I seem to boss him around and just be a total dick to him.
Well, I thought the parts with Malvolio were funny, his yellow stockings and all.
I'm sorry to have wasted your evening.
What waste? This wasn't a waste.
Yes, it's still early. Still salvageable.
Dinner? Dancing?
Drinking, please Christ.
She's gorgeous, Dorian. That's what counts.
I don't understand.
She's been so much better, transcendent even.
We'll come another night. You're right. The theater's officially dead to me now.
You know what always made me nervous was the beginning scene because I had the opening monologue.
Yes.
Because we're all dancing.
Yes, that's right.
And I would have to step through like a frame and do this monologue. And I always remember during that I would always always really nervous before I go on stage. Are you? Like I get
Yes,
stomach.
I mean, especially you do. I get stomach pains. You know this. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Yes, I get stomach pains. That's why I take like 2 Imodium before at least every show.
Yes.
No, I do too. I get the same way, especially on opening night. But I think
Yes.
it's always good to have those jitters before you go on stage. It doesn't matter if it's the first time or the 10th time that you're doing it, you know. And especially if it's a scene that you have been known to mess up. Not you. I'm hypothetical. You know. And you're always in the back of your head, like, don't do it. Don't do it again. Don't you do it again, because you did it once. Don't you do it again. So I know, I feel you. I understand that totally.
Yeah.
I had that moment, our opening night of Dorian Gray. And I know I've talked about this before.
Was it when we were going through the present and the future?
No, was it? No, it was, I think it was supposed to be at the art show.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I had the monologue. Everybody ran off stage. And then it was just me, and I had the monologue.
Oh, yes.
You were so kind, and this was like generous actor 101 right here. But so I was standing right there in the center stage, and it was just all like everyone was gone, spotlight, and I had a monologue, and it was opening night, full house, and I remember I started saying a monologue that I had just said a couple of scenes before.
Oh.
And I knew it. Like all of a sudden I just was like, my brain went, oh my God, what's happening right now? And somehow I fumbled around, I fumbled, and then I caught myself. But I'll never forget you pacing like a lion in the back because you came out to save me. I know you came out, you had champagne glasses and a champagne bottle.
Yeah.
And you came out and you were supposed to already be drunk. So
Right.
you came out early because you were like, I probably got to save her because I was just, I felt like I was struggling. And you know when you're backstage and you hear something that even if this isn't a scene that you're in, you're like, oh crap, what's happening out there?
Sure,
You know, so that was probably, I imagine, maybe what was going on in your head. And I was just like, oh, I caught myself and I got it. And then here I am, and then poor Steve is in the back like, well, I'm on stage now, so I got to do this.
gotta
And
pretend I'm doing something.
back and forth, and then we recovered. But I was so thankful that you were there.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
God forbid, in the event that I really just could not find my place. So that was very kind of you. But that was also the same night. Oh, that was a bad night. That was the same night that in the beginning of Act 2, I was like, all right, Bree, get it together now, okay? You had this messed up. Nobody hopefully noticed, whatever. And I was backstage. I was over here, and then I came to the front of the stage. I said my monologue. I did whatever I had to do, and I went back. And I was like, oh, I did it, yay. And then I started changing my clothes.
Oh, no.
And Isaac was there, and Lindsay was there. I mean, basically everybody was backstage. I started changing my clothes, and I heard you say your monologue, which was right over here.
Yes.
And I had this moment of, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be changing my clothes right now. And I quickly tried to throw my shirt back on, and I had a little T-Rex arm like this, and poor Isaac was
Trying to pull
me through,
yeah.
and I was like, I can't, and then I finally got it on, and it was backwards, and it was like a collared shirt, so it was obvious it was backwards.
Sure.
And Lindsay was like, you gotta go on, and I was like, I can't go on like this, and somehow I ripped it off, and I made it. As soon as literally you were about your line,
yes.
I forgot what your line was.
Oh,
I think it was like and then Victoria turned and said to me, and I said, "What's next?"
Yes. What?
And I made it out there right, literally as I was about to say what's
lines?
next.
Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit, not like whole monologues, but I'll never forget that as long as I live. That's for darn sure.
I feel like as soon as the play is over, I let the lines just go out of my head like a drain.
Some things are more memorable than
Yeah.
others, Some
Musicals
lines.
are easier to remember. I
Yes,
promise.
of course. Yeah.
I was thinking, you've done shows, Stanton College,
Yes.
And Sarah Rotary.
Yep.
Do you think the stage, like how the stage is set up, how the audience is, does that really change how you feel, like, especially when you're here at Creative License?
Mm-hmm. I think that doing shows here at the barn are extremely, they're intimate. I like that. And there's so many variations that you can do. So what was your most challenging role ever?
Oh my gosh. I should have.
I know, that's a hard question.
I did a one-man show, and that was pretty weird.
That's right, Every Brilliant Thing, right?
Thank you, 'cause
Yes.
I forgot the title.
Oh my God.
I remember shot.
There we go.
That was difficult. That was weird.
I bet.
I think what was easy about it is you had audience interaction and things that you were able to memorize made it much easier to memorize. I've always found musicals harder.
Okay.
Certain musicals.
Yes.
What about you? What do you think is like?
Most challenging?
Yeah, like
Ooh.
challenge. Like you had to play a blind woman.
Yes, that was Lonely I'm Not. So
Yeah.
I feel every Creative License show, almost all of them I've done, like has like my characters have a very specific like thing that happened. Like you know, in Lonely I'm Not, my
Heather?
my character Heather was blind.
Yeah.
And like I chose to have my eyes closed the whole time. I mean, I didn't have to do that, but that was a choice that I made because I felt more, if I did that, I would feel more genuine instead of having my eyes open and looking like, you know, elsewhere or pretending not to see Ian sitting in front of me or anything like that. So I kept my eyes closed the whole time.
Well, I think this is your cab.
All right. Well, I had a really good time.
Yeah, me too. Well,
Okay.
oh my God, sorry. That was not intentional. I was going for the cheek.
No sweat.
Didn't mean to hit your mouth with my mouth like that.
Would you like to try that one again?
And that was a bit of a challenge, but not,
Sure.
I mean, they weren't totally closed, obviously. I had my eyes open
Like,
slightly
yeah,
like this so
we
I
can
could see
kinda
where I was
see,
walking so I
you
didn't
don't
fall off
bump
the
into
stage.
things.
So that was challenging in its own. And actually, Lonely I'm Not was the first time I came back to the stage in like 5 years because I, you know, went to grad school, got a big girl job, and then I felt like I couldn't balance all of that. So I took a hiatus for a while, and thankfully, you know, Creative License gave me a chance to come back and do something. But I think the most challenging role was definitely Mary and mine. I don't know what it's like to, I feel like what it's like after you give birth. I'm not really good with holding babies. Like I avoid that as much as humanly possible. So like when I had to actually like hold this baby, like not a doll, like a real baby. And then all of the psychological things. I did a lot of research. I was lucky enough that I work in a hospital. And I talked to our director of maternity who sees women who have the baby blues, postpartum depression, and this was a little bit above that though. So I explained to her the show, and I explained to her my character and what ends up happening, and she was like, "Oh, that's postpartum psychosis. Like that is a whole other level of you're about to, you know, you need help because you're going to harm yourself or your baby."
I want to hold her, but I'm afraid to. I don't know what to do. What should I do?
You'll have plenty of time to hold her. You'll have the rest of your life.
Peter! You have to come here right now!
What? What is it?
That's not our baby.
So let me be sure I understand this. You just woke up this morning and you looked at her and you decided she wasn't your baby?
Are you asking me if I switched your baby?
The night your daughter was born, some of us came into your room and we took her and left one of ours in her place.
Who is we?
That's the part that's hard to explain.
You know what I loved the most about mine was the fact that it made people talk afterwards about, well, was Amy, who was played by Meg Jupin, was she real? Was she,
Right. Is she an alien?
Was she
or-
really a fairy? Or was she a figment
Just
of
your
Mary's
psychosis?
was she like postpartum psychosis personified? And I loved hearing people talk about it. I loved when people said to me, even like a year after, we still talk about that show.
Sure.
And then, just trying to get into a mind of a woman who is just so in despair, and I don't, how do you do that, So
I don't know, you tell me.
Actress. Okay.
How'd you get into
how did I do it?
headspace? Yeah.
I don't know. You just I don't know how to explain it other than you just let this sounds so stupid and cliche, but you let it take over. You let the role take over you. And you let it and you just let it happen. And then when you have such awesome people you're working with, like Isaac and Meg and Kathleen and Emmer, who were in the show with me, I mean, and basically all the other shows I've been in too, but I'm specifically with mine, when you have such amazing, generous people who really give of themselves a lot, you want to do the same and return the favor. And yeah, I think that's what really helps, I think, is when you have that energy to feed off of each other, to get really into the role. Yeah, for sure. But that was definitely the most challenging. And then it's just, trying to drown a baby, like I don't love kids. I don't love kids, of course, but I could never imagine being that low in real life and that
kind of that detached from reality.
Yeah, very detached from reality.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the most challenging role, I think, for me. So tell me about your experience from doing From White Plains. That was great. You guys got the most amazing reviews from that show.
That was really, yeah.
And that was an extremely well-deserved.
Thank you. It was just a script I had never heard of. And you were talking about before, when we were talking about staging and like intimacy.
Yep.
Where, yeah, most of, especially my scenes, we kind of had Nick's apartment and also Ian's apartment right here on the stage. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for that play, it really works when the audience is that close to you, where you don't have to really project your voice that much. You can really get down and you can get really intimate, and maybe I think really how the script is between my character is there's some emotional physicality about it, and I really liked exploring that.
Okay.
It's just a terrific show, I think.
It was a terrific show.
Just, yeah, the script and what the four of us did and Aaron's direction. No, we were very lucky.
What the fuck are you doing? Ray. No, seriously, what the fuck are you doing? Ray, you just won an Oscar, Dennis. You won a fucking Oscar like 4 days ago, and you were sitting in your apartment alone and having a pointless fight with someone you claim to not even care about. And not even a real fight, a fight on the internet, an internet fight. And you are losing the fight. You are losing the fight because you're acting like an asshole. Fuck you. You are acting like an asshole. You're creating this whole little world where you get to sit alone and be angry.
I am angry. And maybe I wouldn't be alone if you got a little angrier sometimes.
Yeah. You and Nick together were fabulous.
Thank you.
And of course, Ian and Isaac were great too.
It was funny, Ian and I didn't have a single scene together because it was basically Ian and Isaac and Nick and I.
Yep.
And then Nick and Ian had their scene together at the end. But yeah, that felt the most real, I guess. Besides Dorian Gray, obviously that was still intimate, but there was like a bit of showmanship.
Yes.
Where you're but that felt like we're just living here. This is our living room, and everyone in the audience is invited to see it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it too, because that's what it felt, very inviting.
Yeah.
And you were all fabulous in that show.
Thank you.
Are any of these props yours?
No. I mean, we used a computer. We used a laptop in From White Plains, but I think they were much bigger. No stabbings, unfortunately.
No stabbings.
Nothing like that.
Obviously, that's our baby.
From mine.
From mine. I think we called her either Genevieve or I think her name was Genevieve. But then this little guy was from Maple and Vine, and that was fun.
So what was that like? Did you do any research? Because your character is like, I'm in the 1950s.
Yes.
Did you do any research on that?
Well, a little bit about what it was like. So it's supposed to be 1955 is the year that this community supposedly lives in perpetually, forever and ever and ever. And even when you're not out, my character and Evan, who played my husband, when we were outside of that community, we would still act like we were living in 1955. Yeah. So my interactions with Meg and Ben, who were the couple who came into the community, we sort of recruited them. I was still very like, I loved playing Ellen, especially in Act 1. I loved playing her because she was just like, I felt like I got to really ham it up, comedy.
Yeah.
And I love comedy too. I love doing it. That's was my roots, And so Evan and I really played well off of each other with the.
Well, you guys, you have a lot of chemistry, very just natural, I think, because of your friendship.
Yeah.
For so long.
And I know Evan loves Turner Classic Movies. I love Turner Classic Movies too. So I think that the 50s commercials and the language of the 50s and how we thought it should be portrayed came pretty naturally to both of us. And when he was like, you razz my berries, those kinds of stupid things, that was a lot of fun. And that was fun to me.
I know that you think being a housewife is just someone in a pretty dress, but a housewife makes things work. If there's a wound, she dresses it, and if there's a silence, she fills it. You're a tall girl, Kathy. Oh, it's Katha. I know what I said. Tall girl. I wouldn't slouch so much. You could really command a room. And that's allowed in the 50s? It's a different kind of power.
The funny thing about Maple and Vine was that was the whole first act, of it was good and everything's fine, yay. And then Act 2 took a weird turn, it was like a complete 180. And it was very Twilight Zone-y.
Yes.
And I am also a huge fan of the Twilight Zone. And that's what I think was so compelling about the script in general. But I think the best part about it is that it doesn't matter if you're living in 2020 or 1955 and pretending that you're not in 2020, that people are still who they are. And
can't change that.
It can't change who you are to your core. I mean, really, to your core, you can't. And I firmly believe that. You can change your views on some things, but I don't think that you as a person are ever really going to change no matter what decade that someone throws you in. So I think that was the main message of the show, I think.
Can't change your colors, your true
colors. Can't change a tiger's stripes, man. You just can't do it. Can't do it. How about other, who is an actor? You don't have to say me, but if you do, I won't.
I don't know what the question is.
Wow. All right. Who's an actor that you like to work with?
That I'd like to work with?
Yeah.
That I want to work with, or
that you currently like to work with, that you love to work with.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I think Nick Pasenko, I've worked with him 3 times, twice here, one with Curtain Call. I've always felt very comfortable with him. I think we have pretty good chemistry. He's very reliable. I mean, there are people that I want to be able to hang. I feel like there are people that are really good actors, but maybe I don't want to hang with you after.
Okay, fair enough. You don't have to name names. That's okay.
I won't. But there are people who just become your natural friends because you're just like the people that my first show when I did Laughter on the 23rd Floor, like Adam Coons, Brian Sheldon.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Sarah Papini, still my friends today. Pretty much everyone from that.
Yeah.
I still get to see and really enjoy. And there's unfortunately some people that I've worked with once and I would love to work with again because I think they're very talented, or some people that you've seen on stage and you've seen them 1,000 times, but just somehow you just never connected with.
Yep, I know, I hear you. I would love, and I've worked with him a few times, but I would love to work with Ian again.
I always love working with Ian, Isaac.
yeah.
They're just very easy
And
to get
Isaac.
along with. It's a very relaxed company.
Yeah, and that's, and I would love a chance to get on stage with Casey and Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
No, but for real, I would love that opportunity.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I would say going back to like people I really like working with, I like to be able to come into rehearsal and not have to worry about, is this show going to be, are we going to get the show off? Are we going to be good?
Right.
And the people that I've mentioned working with, I've never had to worry about that.
Right. And that's such a good thing to know,
Yeah.
So
You go in and everything's going to be okay.
cool. Well, Steve, it's been real.
Has it?
Yes. It's been real. I haven't seen you in forever. And hey, you know what?
It's been a long time.
What? How come you never said you wanted to share the stage with me again?
I mean, I obviously do.
Oh, that was just
I just thought that was
spoken,
assumed.
It was just right. Okay. Assumed. For me as well.
It's nice talking to you.
It's been lovely chatting with you.
Hopefully we can do
From
this again sometime.
6 feet away.
Yes.
Bye.